Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mitchell's in Alaska channel. So today what we're going to talk about is one of our solar systems. We've got 3 cabins, 3 solar systems, and I've had some people ask about costs and how we arrived at what we did and so on and so forth. So we'll try to answer a few of those questions today. So today I'm at Perry's cabin. His is a system we just put in, and show you a couple of things we've done for it. So here is a electric box on the outside of the house, which is the cord coming from the generator, and so you can plug the cord up to the house because it's not hardwired to the house. Cord runs out here to his universal outhouse shed, and you can see in here the generator. It actually has an exhaust that goes outside through the wall, and the cord going into the cabin. So here you can see the exhaust. Get it down there where you can. You see the exhaust coming out and the cord going into the house. So that's where the inverter charger gets its power from, other than the solar panels. So the solar panels we mounted up on the front of the cabin right now, which definitely don't like the looks of it. Definitely takes a lot of the aesthetics away from the cabin, but it was easy to mount them there for now, simply because we don't really have a lot of time between now and snow flying time. So we started cutting a little bit of trees out here the other day. This was treed over pretty good here, so it really blocks the sun from getting to them. So eventually they'll blow off out in there, and we'll be able to deal with all the panels set on. We'll add some more panels and stuff like that, but that'll get them out there. Once all these trees right in here are gone, that'll get it out there to where they'll have exposure from the sun, and then can charge. So 4 panels now. These are 250 watt panels. There's 4 of them, and he'll add in probably at least 4 more panels to really complete the system good. So it sounds like a lot right now when you have 1,000 watts of panels, but believe me, 1,000 watts of panels don't mean anything. No doubt it's better than a sharp stick in the eye, but it's a long ways from doing what you need to do, because like today it's pretty cloudy. It's not actually putting out any power right now. I think earlier it was putting out 30 or 40 watts of power. So in my cabin, for example, I've got 2, I believe they're 320 watt panels, and the highest I've ever seen on them is about 450 watts. So you're never going to get what you think you might, or what they're rated at. So it's always going to be less than that. So you just have to plan for it. So, okay. So on his system here, I wish I could turn this thing around while I'm talking on it, but I can't do it. I'm going to hit a button here and try it, but no, it won't let me. So it'd be nice if I could, but anyway, I can't. So I'm trying to make do with this thing here. So this right here is a Magnusign 5,000 watt power inverter charger. That's what this is. So basically this box right here converts your DC power from your batteries to 120 volts, which is what your household uses. So this power charger inverter also is a charger, and of course the power from the generator comes to this box, and this box in turn will charge the battery. So this here will charge up to, I believe it charges up to 60 amps, and this is a 48 volt system. I forgot to mention that one. He's the only one that has a 48 volt system. So I'll get to the batteries here in a second, but it's a 48 volt system, and this will charge 60 amps. So that's quite a bit. That's more than that 3,500 watt generator will put out. So we had to actually turn that down a little bit. So anyway, it's got breakers in it, here, so you can bypass the inverter and stuff if you want to shut it off, so you're just running straight on shore power. If you're on an on-grid system, you could do that. Or you can shut the inverter off. The reason you'd want to shut the inverter off is that if you were running an appliance connected to to one of your plug-ins and your batteries were charging, your generator would have to put out the power for your generator or for the charger as well as that appliance. So that's why you can shut that off if you need to. The other two systems we have, you can't do that. So this is a lot more elaborate systems than we have in the others. This part right here, this is the solar charger. So this right here is where the solar panels come into, and they charge the batteries through this. So this and this are connected. They do communicate back and forth through a communication cable. But this right here will charge up to 60 amps, and again, it's 48 volt, but 60 amps at 48 volts. So maximum input on this is 150 volts. So depending on what your panels are, would depend on how many you could run. So we get a really nice shadow off that light, don't we? This right here is a breaker box for the solar panels coming in. So it gives you a way to shut the panels off if you need to do any work in here, because they do, they are producing electricity. So you want to watch that. Make sure you shut them off if you're working on something. Breaker panel here. This panel here is your regular house power that the charger inverter puts power into here. And this is your 120 volt stuff coming out of here, going to all your plug-ins and stuff like that throughout the cabin. This little box up here is a 12 volt box. I'm trying to have trouble trying to aim my deal here, but this is a 12 volt box. These are all fused. You can see the small wires coming off that. All the lighting in here is 12 volt LED lights. So, you don't really need very big wire to run little bitty LED lights, or like it would be in an RV. I'll show you one here. Actually, there's one right there. So they do put out quite a bit of light. Not near as much as these big lights that you see here, but they do put out plenty of normal light. So batteries on this system here, these are 6 volt Rolls batteries. Rolls is a brand of them. They're a regular solar battery. Trojan and Rolls, both, they just make heavy duty batteries to be either solar or like golf cart batteries and stuff like that. But so anyway, it's an 8 volt system, or a 48 volt system. These are 6 volt batteries. So they're all connected in series, which gives you 48 volts. So these are 430 watt, is that right?
450 amp.
450 amp batteries. So it's a pretty good sized bank of batteries. These batteries weigh about 125 pounds a piece, and there's 8 of them sitting there. So you're looking at 1,000 pounds of batteries sitting right there on the floor. So, and I know that people say they shouldn't be in the house and so on and so forth, but lots and lots of people have them in the house. Mine's in the house. Lots of people, even at the solar places that sell this stuff, will have theirs in the house too, because it keeps them warm. So anyway, that's the batteries. Those batteries were about $450 a piece, I believe. So times 8, so there's $3,500 or $3,800 worth of batteries there. So it's very expensive to make your own power. So, but where we live, you don't really have any options but to make your own power. So you're looking at about $3,500, $3,800 for batteries. Of course, then you have to buy cables. And you have to buy this system right here. This is, again, this is a magnet sign. This is a more expensive one. He actually bought this one from one of our neighbors that was upgrading the system, so he didn't have to pay full price for it, or it would have been more than he really needed. So, but these 2 boxes right here, if you were to buy them new, I believe are about $5,000 for these 2 boxes right here. That's the inverter charger with the control panel and stuff. So that's where you'd be with that if you bought it new. This solar charger right here,
About 8.
this little box right here is about $800. That converts your power from your solar panels to your DC power, or to DC power to charge your batteries and so on. And of course, Here would be just a normal breaker box. Time you buy the breakers in the box, probably $100. Breaker box here for the solar panels.
Combiner breaker box.
Combiner breaker box. This is a Midnight Solar box. So that's probably $100, I would imagine, at least. And then of course, wire and conduit to hook it all up. A little 12-volt fuse block up there, $25. Lots of wire, and
so the cables don't sound like much, but at $10 a foot.
Yeah, the cables. Again, you're talking about $10 a foot for the cables, and then about $2 an end to put on them. So you can see how many cables there actually is. These are 4-aught cables, and then of course, then coming into here as well. So there's just the cables alone gets into another chunk of change as you're working through the process. So the whole solar system is new. We definitely don't claim to be know-it-alls when it comes to solar power. We've just kind of started doing ours one at a time. I'll show my system and Tyler's system as well. I'll probably do just 3 little videos. Tyler's and mine are both 12-volt systems, which really is all we really needed. And that's really all Perry needed too. He just got a chance to make a trade for something that worked out differently. So it worked out all right. He's got eight of these 6-volt batteries. I have 6 of them, and just running on 12 volts. So, but anyway, living the way we live, we don't really have any big power requirements. The most power hog that we have would either be a microwave or a coffee pot. And like the coffee pot, we just turn it on long enough to brew the coffee, then shut it off and pour it into a thermos. And so we don't have a coffee pot running all the time. So lighting, again, is all small LED lighting like that. So the lighting draws hardly any power at all. And that's why we just chose to stay with 12-volt stuff on that. So it's just cheaper to run the wire, and you don't really have to have lots of power for that anyway. So anyway, Perry's not moved in yet, but getting closer. Tyler is getting moved into his house. Isn't finished yet, but again, it's getting closer. There's still lots of stuff to do inside, as you can see, but that don't stop you from staying there. And this other stuff can be worked on when it's cold outside or when it's snowing. But right now we chose to do some wood while the weather was good, and that's actually what we should be doing today. But we had a couple of new pieces come in for the solar system here that we wanted to get in and get hooked up and get that last little bit finished up. Basically what it was this box right here was bad, and made it where you couldn't really, this is right here, couldn't really work the functions very well. So basically ordered a new one of those and put that in today. And then we had the cord ran all the way in here from the generator. So we moved that back outside and mounted that box on the wall. So now you can plug up and unplug the generator, get the cord out of the way, so on and so forth. So so that's where we're at on that. But that kind of gives you an idea of solar power. I mean, you can spend as much as you want. I mean, like for a 48-volt system like this, we looked at lithium batteries. Everybody says that's the way you need to go. The lithium batteries they sell, you needed 3 of them, and they were $3,600 a piece. So it would have took $10,000 worth of lithium batteries to set this system up versus $3,500 for these. Now the lithiums will outlast these, no question about it, but still $10,000 to make an initial layout for batteries is a lot. So
that you can't let get cold.
Yeah, that you can't let get cold either. Lithium batteries, if they get below, I believe it's 32 degrees, they actually just shut off. They're all computerized and all that. So so no matter what function you go with, they all have their drawbacks. Mine and Perry's are both lead acid flooded batteries. Tyler actually has 12-volt sealed batteries, and we'll look at those in another little short video. But so his are maintenance free. He don't have to do anything to them. These we actually have to check the water in them and so on. I have different style of caps on mine that don't let the water escape out of the top. So So I'll never have to add water to mine really, but there's still other things you have to do with lead acid batteries versus or flooded batteries versus the sealed batteries like Tyler has. So the sealed batteries definitely is a nicer, cleaner look. But again, you know, some of that stuff we don't really know much about. Tyler's batteries they're rated differently than these are, and we don't really understand all of that, the battery ratings. I know his are 12 volt instead of 6 volt, but they're supposed to be pretty comparable to the batteries I have. In other words, his 3 should be pretty comparable to my 6, the way I understand it. But again, you know, we're just trying to figure this stuff out as we go, and kind of learned the hard way on some stuff. Originally, I bought a 1,000-watt solar or 1,000-watt charger inverter, and wound up later going back and buying a 2,000-watt inverter. And the reason I did that was my 1,000-watt inverter charger only charged at 30 amps, and the 2,000-watt one charges at 60 amps. So I doubled my amount of amperage that I can charge, so which should basically cut my generator time in half, because in Alaska you're going to run on a generator quite a bit. So during this winter time when we have 5 hours of daylight, and then also what we learned is that just because you have daylight does not mean you're going to get solar power. So it can be daylight all day and not get any solar power. So there's a difference between good sun, good solar sun, and just sun. So, and just being daylight don't necessarily get you anything. So it's pretty common, you know, on cloudy days to see my 600-watt panels putting out 20 watts. So again, you know, if it's cloudy, you're still going to have to run a generator. So, so you want to make sure that you have a generator that you can afford to run, and which most of the time, the on Tyler's and mine systems, the little 2,000-watt Hondas will run that. This system here, the 48-volt system, it had to be turned down a little bit, even for that 3,500-watt generator. So we haven't played with it enough yet to know how far he's got to turn it down to be able to run it on his little 2,000-watt Honda, but it's probably going to have to be toned down some more, just in order for him to be able to run it on the Honda. So the nice thing about that is we all have we all have a 3,500-watt generator, and we all have a 2,000-watt generator. So it's nice to be able to run it on a 2,000-watt generator, but yet you still have a backup if you go out there and one of them don't start, or you need to change oil in one of them where you need to charge your batteries and so on and so forth. But so it's nice to have a bigger one as well. So, and something that, that don't cost you a fortune to operate either. Where the gasoline is $3.64 a gallon here, and which don't really sound like a lot, but if you have to run your generator 2 to 4 hours a day, it starts adding up even on the little Hondas. When you're talking over $20 to go fill up a 5-gallon gas can, it seems pretty ridiculous. So, and don't look for that to get any cheaper with our current administration we have up there. So, I don't really know of anything else on this one here that I could add. Again, we're not experts. We really know very little. We just kind of muddled our way through it, done a lot of research, talked to a lot of people, tried to get a consensus of what other people are doing, and it's all over the place. It really amounts to how much do you want to spend, and how much power do you need. So there's some people that will have like 20 of these batteries like this. So a $10,000 battery investment is not uncommon when you're running solar, not uncommon at all. So that's more than we want to spend. Hopefully these batteries like this here, these flooded batteries here, hopefully these will last 10 years. Some people get 20 years out of them. It really depends on how well you take care of them and how much you run them down. So ideally you don't ever want to run them down below 50% of their capacity. So again, this is all stuff we didn't have a clue to whenever we moved up here. We just kind of jumped in and started trying to figure things out on our own, and we've learned a lot. and some of it's expensive. I got a $1,000 power inverter laying up in my loft that I'm not using because, you know, I wound up buying one that really wasn't quite big enough, but I didn't know any better at the time. I figured 1,000 watt would do what I needed to do, but I didn't know that the difference between the 1,000 and 2,000 was that, you know, you could the charger was twice as big. So didn't know that. So again, we've learned, you know, right now I have a 2,000 watt system. Tyler has a 3,000 watt system, and Perry has a 5,000 watt system. So we're kind of all over the place with what we have, but again, we just kind of try to figure it out as we go. So walk back outside here and again show you the panels and why they're where they're at. Panels have to be facing the south, and again, the only place we had here to face the south was this side of the cabin, and they definitely ugly up the cabin. It definitely takes away from the looks of it, but you know, the only option is to get a couple of posts set out here and get these trees out of the way, where you can actually get more sun exposure this direction. So that'll be a next year project. Again, we've already got one snow here, and probably expecting to get another one within a month. So we're trying to get all of our last minute stuff finished up, and I don't even know if we're going to get our driveway done yet. So there's still lots to do yet, but anyway, be glad to answer any questions I can with the solar that we've done, because we don't really know anything. I can only answer the questions that we've muddled our way through and tried to figure out ourselves. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you would.